I'm delighted to be here. My name is Julie Flower. I'm a leadership development consultant and a facilitator and coach, and I'm based currently in the United Kingdom. I've got a varied background in management, and for the last 10 years, I've run my own leadership and team development consultancy called The Specialist Generalist. And I work on sort of knotty problems in complex systems. That's really where I like to play, as it were. And some of my clients include UK government departments and the National Health Service in the UK, as well as universities. And I'm also an improviser, and one of my research interests at the moment is improvisation and leadership coaching. So that's where I'm coming from. Navigating your team through uncertainty. I don't think you need me to tell you that we're operating in very uncertain times at the moment. And after the financial crisis, I think the idea of VUCA became very sort of popular within team parlance, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous situations. But I think the events of the last year or so have just required adaptation, if not complete reinvention from teams, organisations and individuals in ways that people simply never expected. So it's in that context that it's really great to have this discussion, and I am joined by three fantastic panellists who I will welcome up. I will give them a very brief introduction, but unfortunately, because of the wonders of modern technology, I can't access my notes without possibly slipping off the screen, and I don't want to do that. So first of all, I would love to welcome Noha Musbar, who is joining us from Sweden, and will hopefully be along in a second. So
Hello.
Noha is an organisational development consultant. Hi Noha, it's great to see you. Would you like to give us a brief introduction to yourself?
Yes, well, lovely to be here, first of all. I am an organizational development consultant based in Sweden, and I combine my experience from having worked at the Swedish embassies in Dubai, Cairo, Baghdad, and also at the Ministry for Foreign Affairs in Stockholm, with the experience that I've got from having worked at the Danish shipping company Maersk Line, where I worked with key clients Tetra Laval and IKEA. And in those contexts, I was working as a management consultant, international project leader, and I also worked with various types of leadership roles. And I combine that with my experience and passion for improvisation as I worked at Stockholm's Improvisational Theatre, which is the largest and oldest improv theatre in the Nordics. And today I lead my own company in Lantern, where I help teams become happier and more efficient by using improv techniques.
That's wonderful and lovely to see you. Noha we first met in Barcelona a couple of years ago, so it's just lovely to connect even across this virtual forum. So thank you for joining us. I'm also joined today, thank you, from across over in the US by Keith S. Williams, and it's a little earlier in the day for him. So welcome, Keith. Keith has worked in IT for 20 years and is also a very experienced improvisation performer, teacher, and also runs a consultancy and training organization called Better with Improv. But I'm sure you can introduce yourself even better. So over to you, Keith.
I don't know how I'm going to follow that, Julie, but let's give it a shot. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you may be. Keith Williams. I am the owner and artistic director of Better with Improv, where we help you discover what's next. You know, in improvisation, nothing's scripted. So we take these rules and we take the values of improv and we try to apply them to leadership, coaching, presentation skills. So, you know, in the real world, I am a IT consultant. I've been doing this for many years, a program and delivery manager for IT software implementations for international companies. And so you can imagine folks in IT, and then here I come with all my creativity and fun and trying to make that happen, especially in turbulent times when everything's on the line and I'm ready to play 1, 2, 3. So that's always fun.
It's wonderful. Great to have you here, Keith. And we've never met in real life, but we have had the honour of performing as part of a World of Improv project.
Absolutely.
So,
Julie,
yeah,
it was a masterful evening, yes.
Oh, it was great fun. And I think one of the themes that's connected everybody over the last 3 days is this idea of possibility. Maybe none of us would choose to be in this situation, but the possibility of connecting and performing and working with people across the world in a way that we couldn't perform. So we couldn't before. So that's amazing. And then finally, but definitely not least, we are joined by Jodie. Jodie Fleger, who is probably known to many of you, an American who is based in Munich and has had a wide-ranging experience in both improvisation and a wide range of industries. So Jodie, I will let you introduce yourself.
Wow, thank you very much. It's great to be here. So yes, I am an American from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I left Pittsburgh the day after I got my degree in education and have been living in Munich, Germany ever since. So we're going on about 25 years living here. I worked in the beginning as an English teacher, as well as the director for the children's program for a language school where I wrote the curriculum and trained the teachers for teaching children. I've always been interested in improvisation and acting and theater, and found a group of people who met together here in Munich and performed, or actually they weren't performing at that point, but they were playing improv. And yes, this is now, I manage and am the artistic director of this group now 10 years later. It's a lot of fun. It's opened my world up, most definitely. And I started a business with a colleague of mine, and we run Impro Unicorn, which is very much like what a lot of other people are doing as well. Teamwork, communication for corporate, as well as training improv teams, and also branching out into the schools and working with English classes and even German kids who are just need to open up and free themselves and have a chance to let go of the rules. I also run the Improvember, the International Improv Festival here in Munich, and help to run Spark, which is the Spontaneous Arts Conference, which had its debut shortly before the pandemic hit, pretty much like a couple of weeks before everything shut down. We were lucky enough to have the Spontaneous Arts Conference here in Munich, where we brought the art of improvisation to so many different industries and businesses, and saw how important it really is. As we have said during the pandemic, we all noticed that more and more. So I'm a mom. So that's, yeah, I have 2 kids, 2 teenagers. And,
oh, thank you, Jodie. And I think we first met in Athens. I'm trying to remember.
Yes.
Wonderful times. And I think, there's clearly a theme that's coming out from the way in which we've all introduced ourselves, which is really around the read across that we see between improvisation as an art form and a practice, and the uncertainty and the skills and attributes and behaviors that we might all need to help navigate that. And I'm conscious that within our audience, we may have lots of improvisers, we may have lots of people who are practitioners working in the field of applied improvisation, but also perhaps leaders of teams and those from wider practice within training and organisational development. So I'm hoping there'll be something for everybody here. So I wanted to kick off really thinking about this wonderful shared, not wonderful shared experience, but amazing experience that you all have, thinking about how navigating teams through uncertainty has shown up for you in the last year. What's kind of top of your mind with respect to this subject? So maybe if I start with you, Jodie.
It's interesting because the first thing that hit, of course, was my improv team wasn't able to perform anymore. We weren't able to practice anymore. And slowly but surely, that wasn't the team that I worried most about. It was my family. And my family is this team that we've been together the whole time, and we've been in a house together the whole time, children not in school, working from home. It's been a very interesting time. There's been some amazing things that have come out of it, some frustrating things that have come out of it as well. But yeah, that's also a team that we had to work with and keep together.
Yeah, really interesting to think of, Jodie. Teams can be in so many different parts of our lives, and yet many of the attributes are similar. So thank you. Yeah. Noha, how's teams shown up for you?
I think the first thing that comes to my mind when I think about teams and uncertainty and this past year is what this uncertainty does with us, how it leads to fear, how we've felt lonely, isolated, and how there's a really big need for us to connect and to be more empathetic than ever. So for me, it's been very much about, okay, we're all sitting isolated in our homes, trying to work. I don't think we're working from home. We're in a crisis, a world crisis, trying to make this work. How can we help each other? How can we create a safe environment in the virtual world? And how can we really see each other as individuals and not just professionals? And even if you're only thinking about sort of how it's going for the company and the figures and the end results, studies show that more engaged teams will also perform better. If you look at sales numbers or productivity, or so even in that sense, everybody gains from having an engaged, happy team that feels safe and feels seen and heard. So that's something that's really been with me when I think about teams and uncertainty.
Yeah, thank you, Noha. And I think we can explore some of those themes in greater depth in a second. Keith, how's it shown up for you?
Well, all right. So it's shown up in so many ways. First of all, and I'm trying to keep this short, the birth of Better with Improv was pre-COVID, the pandemic, pre the change. And the idea was I was learning online video, and what's my passion? Well, my passion is improv. How do I teach leadership with that? Well, I'm going to do it online. Improv online, that's not a thing. Improv is a theater sport. Are you kidding me? It's not going to work. So I started researching who else was doing it. Nobody. Who's looking for it? No one, because improv's not online. And so we said, we're going to make this a thing. So we created a couple of, how to do improv online. And then the pandemic hit and the video started taking off and the demand for that was there. And I said, okay, now I also work again in my day job as an IT consultant in the e-commerce field. Well, e-commerce is up 24% for people who have that capability. Most companies are like, oh, we have to now go sell whatever we're doing online. And so that's exponential in that business. So now I have two surges happening at the same time, right? And trying to figure out how to adapt, how to do everything from home. The companies I work for had a no at home policy, period. Now they have nobody come to work policy, so those things have been some interesting adjustments, and I think the world would be better afterward. Now, on top of that, I got a chance to interact and meet with the most incredible team, because I was going to teach improv to everyone, and then I found 28 to 30,000 improvisers out there, and I said, okay, wait, time out. Well, let me work with these guys first, and then I just started going back into learning mode. And now, our suitcase is equipped with so much more as we share with those that want to learn. So that's, to me, the three things that were touched.
Yeah, thank you, Keith. And it's extraordinary, isn't it? You were kind of ahead of the curve, and then suddenly, who'd have thought just over a year ago that we would be performing improv online, training in improv online, and delivering applied improv as a learning and development intervention online. So much adaptation.
Yes.
So thank you for that. In terms of a dictionary definition, one of the definitions could be for improvisation generally, that it's about spontaneous creativity and innovation. There is that time imperative. And actually, whether organizations and teams recognize it or not, they have simply had to improvise this year. And I think for many, that's quite a tension with more traditional sort of planning approaches, and can feel quite challenging. Maybe things like improvisation are associated with things that are a bit flippant or perhaps playful in a way that feels challenging for people. How have you helped teams, in whatever way that manifests itself, overcome some of the challenges they're facing around developing that improvisational behavior? So Keith's nodding. I'll go to you first, Keith.
Yeah, you know, in IT, there are several approaches to trying to implement big time projects, right? You have a waterfall approach, you have an iterative approach, and then you have, and you may have heard of it, you have an agile approach. And so agile really allows you to take smaller pieces of work and doing it in a quick sprint or a short time, and you still have an overall plan. So we're not losing a plan, and you still have a precision and exactness in whatever you're doing. Okay, because IT is ones and zeros. It's like math. You can't just, improvise math. Math is math. IT is IT. But what has to happen is that you have to be willing to understand, once you get under the hood, what happened during the last 3 weeks. What did you get done? What was your forecast? And can you adjust quickly? What new changes? What new external influences are coming in? Do you have headwinds or tailwinds? What's going on with the business? Is anybody sick? And so the real trick is, as a leader, and this is the thing that I think that we can apply a lot of improv skills. We talk about collaboration, yes, and supporting, making your partner look good. Now, these are improv terms that we bring in. If you're a leader, the simple lesson is, if you're a leader and you have a problem and you call a meeting about that problem and you know the answer and everyone gets there, you say, here's the problem, here's what I want you to do. What do you think? They're going to either say nothing or they're going to agree with you because you already gave them the solution. Instead, simply come in, the problem. You may have an idea for the solution. You say, here's the problem. What do you think? And then let everybody give their input. You consider those variables and take them in, and then make a decision. You may still go with your original idea, but you may implement some of the things. And even if you get a bad idea, someone comes up with an idea that's going to cost you $60 million, you go, all right, well, let's put that on the board and let's see what that looks like. Yes, that's an idea, and it's going to put us out of business. What else is true? And then we can go through it, and then everyone can agree, maybe we shouldn't take that exact path, or maybe we should adjust. And that way we value everyone's input. And so there's some of the things that we try to implement. And these seem like basic common sense stuff, but really when you're in the thick of it, and you're not feeling or thinking, you're just reacting, oh my God, this is a problem, then you have to step back and say, am I doing everything to tackle that issue the proper way?
Yeah, I think that's really helpful, Keith. And I think, like you say, it's really hard sometimes to step back when you are in the thick of this. And for some people, they've just simply never experienced anything like this situation before. Noha, how have you helped teams to navigate this?
I think in many ways it's similar to what Keith was talking about, with really, yes anding and opening up. And to talk further about that point is when we're in this virtual environment, it's easier for some people to cocoon or sort of disappear in there, and then it's certain people whose voices get heard. And so I've really been working on using different ways for people to be seen or heard. And it's something that I've gotten a lot of feedback about, I don't enjoy writing in the chat, but using this technique that you just taught us, I feel like I'm still being included and I can still share my opinions. So it's not just these few people in the main room who dare to speak in front of everyone who get all this space. So I think a lot of it has been, how do we maneuver in this new environment and make sure that everybody's opinions are being included.
And I think building on that, earlier you mentioned the idea of sort of creating psychologically safe environments, I think, for people to work. can you build on that and how you've helped establish that, especially within this virtual space?
It's, again, as Keith was saying, it's simple, but it can be really powerful tools. So really having people see each other as individuals and not just professionals, which studies have shown really creates more engagement. And allowing people to feel comfortable in this environment. So we play around in this environment. So it's not as sort of square-like and scary or strange or new. Play in it. What happens if we play and don't sort of feel like there's certain rules of how we need to be, or because this is quite new for most of us. So we're going to have to try things out, and this might not work, and then we try something else out, and keep going until we find something that feels comfortable for us. So it's been a lot about finding that connection, seeing each other as individuals, and allowing ourselves to be playful in this new environment.
Yeah, that spirit of playfulness and yeah, almost creating the rules as we go along. Really, probably quite exciting and quite in the territory for improvisers, but challenging for many people in other walks of life. Thank you. And Jodie, how have you overcome some of the challenges of teamwork?
You know, I'd like to take a little bit of what Noha said as well about empathy. And I think that because we're all finding ourselves in this similar situation, we realize what struggles we have personally. And when it affects us, we can understand it better for other people. And I think that that's been very helpful. For example, helping my children with distance learning, and helping them, my team, deal with the idea of it feels like everyone else is doing great, but I'm not. Why can't I do as well as them? You know, we have the same thing looking on Facebook and feeling like, oh my goodness, you know, all these other people have work. All these other people are teaching, you know, lessons and have workshops, and, you know, what's wrong with me? And the fact is that it's really important to realize that that's not how it is necessarily, and that we're all in this together. And it's helped my children to empathize and to look at some of their friends and to realize, oh wow, you know, they don't even have an extra computer. Like this is hard for them, you know, and this is hard for me too because of this situation or that situation. And I feel like it's truly made them appreciate improvisation and really appreciate that every day, every step of the way, we're improvising, and it's kind of fascinating. I think it's opening a whole new world for a lot of people, because I think a lot of people are able to see this more than they ever have before.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that idea of the self-awareness as well, and the empathy of others. Does anyone want to add to that before I go on to the next question?
I do. Jodie, let me tell you, I got a chance to do some improv for after school students, right, for the entire school system in Charlotte, North Carolina. Oh, wow. And some of these schools, they had some challenging situations. Some of the schools were from broken homes, and you know, there was a school where they were challenged, the children were challenged behaviorally, and we'd come in, and my whole thing is like, hey, you know, I'm the fun guy. Let's have some fun. Let's learn some stuff. And there became they got so engaged because, you know, imagination at that age, they're not thinking through like teaching improv to seniors. It's really like they're open to it. And it was a lot of fun. It was very rewarding for me. And I thought that, you know, we left some tools for the teachers and the other leaders to use. And so I thought that was pretty cool. So one guy on my way out the door, he grabbed my leg and he said, you know, Keith, I said, yeah. He says, would you be my grandfather? And, you know, I thought, but then I thought, why can't I be your father? Why do I have to be your grandfather? Like, what is this? Like, no, I'm not as old as you think I am. And then
Oh, that's wonderful and a great example, really great example. And Noha, how about the empathy side of things? Have you witnessed that in the work that you're doing?
Yes, it's quite interesting how, you know, we're not used to this. It's new. We're scared, da, 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 but there are also signs of hope or things that work possibly better online, such as people in some groups actually become more empathetic because they can see each other's homes. So, you know, we see more of the person rather than just the professional side. And I've had people in breakout rooms who have never met each other before, who talk to each other like for a moment when I was in checking, I was like, do they know each other from, did I put two people from the same company in the same room? And then when they came back to the main room, they were like, yeah, we felt like good friends. I thought she was really funny. Oh, I thought you were really funny. And just how much that does in opening up for us then to work with whatever skills or whatever project or brainstorming or whatever next step we need to take in that event or project. Just that initial sort of feeling seen and heard and seeing and hearing the other person using simple exercises, how much that does for the team as a whole. And as Keith was saying, we're playful, we're coming and we're being fun, and it's in some contexts it's quite new and a little scary. It's really outside of their comfort zone, but the effect is so big. Like I had one participant who said, "Yeah, this exercise, it felt a little silly, but I would never have gotten to know my partner this well had I not done this exercise." And I'm like, I'm fine with silly. I'm happy with silly if it helps you, develop not just in that instance, but also in the work that you do afterwards.
And that's so important, those sort of little moments of human connection and those glimpses into each other's lives. Especially, I've worked with quite a lot of teams over the past few months where there were whole swathes of the team who've never met each other in real life, and yet they're being required to solve complex problems together, innovate together, and be transformational together, but in what can be a very transactional space. So I think all of what you've said really plays into that, and how principles and exercises from improvisation can help. I'm intrigued. What's been your most delightful surprise with respect to teams during this period? I'll let you ponder that. And while you're pondering that, I'll read a message from Abigail, who says, yes, there are actually benefits to meeting online, anonymous participation, ability for everyone to contribute ideas in writing at the same time, not waiting in a queue to speak. Absolutely. So again, playing to the points that have been made. Thank you for that, Abigail. And a reminder that if you'd like to ask any specific questions of the panel, please do pop them in the chat. So delightful surprises. I'm going to go to Jodie first.
To be completely honest, I was really surprised how much I enjoyed taking an improv workshop online. And I enjoyed it, honestly, more than holding one online myself. I found it difficult as the teacher. For me, the lack of the transition between different activities, I find very difficult online as the teacher. Funny enough, you don't have that chit chat in between. You know, you go from a breakout room to suddenly having 10 faces just staring at you like, what's next? You know, in live context, everybody's chit chatting and you're like, okay, let's bring it in. So I heard this. And, but as a participant, I loved it. And I realized that that's the important thing. And I need to kind of get over that, that hesitancy that I have as the teacher, because on the other end, it's a lot of fun. And there's a lot of interesting things that you can do and learn, and new things and different things. It's kind of exciting, to be honest. It's different. It's really different. And not everything works. It really doesn't. But finding it out along the way, and we're all learning together.
Thank you. Yeah, lovely, Jodie. Great observations there. Keith.
All right, you want me to pick one? I have 10, but I'm going to start with one. And I'm going to do a subset of it. First of all, that the world, that how this has shrunken the world down, right? So now we're sort of like, yes, we have the global touch, but I think from that, I'm surprised and I'm delighted that the people that I revered in terms of teachers, leaders, celebrities, have all become approachable in a different way, right? So now I'm learning, from skilled improvisers, and I've been doing this 20 years, right? So I've been doing improv for 12 years, but I'm learning from people who are really like at the big houses and, Second City and grounding all this, and I was like, wow. And then I've met some really great people. I even got a chance to interview Colin Mockery and play with, Jonathan Mangum from Who's Line, and then I am on TikTok and I have 19,000 followers, but people are reaching out to me saying, oh my gosh. I'm like, no, it's just me, let's play. Right. And so the mystery or you feel like you put someone in a place where, you wish you could be, but now I can just ping somebody and say, hey, can we play? And they want to play, or hey, can I take a course, or can you teach a course? And I think that's it. And so that, coupled with my students, surprisingly how they are all very fearful of being on camera, and then by the end, like Jodie was saying, by the end, cameras are on and they're having fun. So I think this quickly can open people up and quickly just explore. And how many people we've brought into this world since this pandemic started virtually.
Yeah, thank you, Keith. Really fascinating observations. Noha.
Yeah, quite similarly, the way it's really opened up, and how I've gotten to meet people who I might never have been able to meet otherwise because it's too far to travel or because it's too expensive to travel. I think also, if I would speak personally about my little journey, is how resistant I was at first. How I was like, no, I need to have people in a room. I need to feel the energy. I need to see the body language. I need to feel it. I need to smell. I need to use my senses. And then how I sort of, yes, exactly. And then once I was like, okay, this is staying for a bit. I have to give it a shot. Let's see what this works, how this works. And I put different glasses on and sort of, okay, I will not be able to replicate what I have in a physical room, in a virtual room. What assets does this have that I can use and enjoy? And that transformation was quite surprising, because I really was like, no, I need to touch and hear and feel. And obviously I still miss that, but it's nice to also learn that, you can connect virtually. It's different, but it's possible. So that, I think, sort of surprised me about myself, that journey.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So you're talking about being kinesthetic, right? So what about when you're playing or performing and you don't have the audience like you would in a theater, right? So now I think you're like, where's all the laughter? So you want to put some people in the Zoom room to make it, to sort of get that bad feedback, but I think you become sharper because you trust your own instincts. And when we get back on stage, it's gonna be crazy. It's just gonna be like, we're just gonna be so good at it because you trust yourself.
Yeah, because you can't count on the laughter to help boost your ego, I guess. You can even go ahead and say, or to fall back on. Yeah, you have to trust yourself.
That's right.
Yeah, trust yourself and be resourceful, and essentially, that sense of everything's an offer. And I think it's interesting, Amy's put in the chat, have any of you capitalized on the fact that we have more direct eye contact with each other online than we might in in-person sessions? And then Helen said, that's a great point, Amy. I can find evening improv very exhausting after a day of Zoom, work Zooms, especially as an introvert. So just briefly, has anyone either capitalized or find challenges with that idea of the fact that there can be quite a lot of direct eye contact?
I've just participated in a workshop, and I found it very interesting. One of the things that she said was, when doing scenes, try to not look at the camera all the time. So try looking away, use your peripheral vision, try different positions, and zone out a little bit. Listen to what the other people are saying when they're talking, but don't look at the screen. Just listen and look at something else in your room. And it's it was interesting how it lessened the fatigue. I found that it really did. It made it easier, because the constant staring is very difficult. So it was something that she addressed, and we played with it. We did breakout rooms and we played with that, and it was interesting.
Yeah, I think there's something about that playfulness and just realizing, as Keith's just done, you can leave the chair, you can move around. I know that in my coaching practice, I've actually found it really intense for clients and for me as a coach to be staring, and experimented with different positioning and eye contact. Keith or Noha, do you have anything else to say on that before we start to wrap up, sadly?
For me, it's actually a challenge that I don't have real eye-to-eye contact. It's one of the things that I miss. And in the improv workshops that I do that are purely improv, where I work a lot with improvised drama, it's really about this connection. And I used to do a lot of exercises that were just about having eye contact in different ways. So to me, that's challenging in a different way, although I also recognize what Jody was talking about and what Amy said. But to me, it's not having it like real eye-to-eye contact. That's the challenge for me, I think.
A different form of contact.
I think bigger than the eye contact challenges, have I seen your legs? Like, have I seen your sneakers? Like, how tall are you? Like, what's going on here? We're in a box and I want to see, I mean, that's the part I miss. I'm being silly, but we say that this is how we categorize people. I've seen your legs or haven't. Do you wear shorts? Do you wear pants? Like, what's going on here? Everything is waist up. No, but I think from a connection standpoint, I think that we have adjusted, and I think these virtual connections they can be as intimate as a phone call, or intimate as, a lot of things. I've done family Zooms every month, and then high school reunion Zooms every month since the pandemic started, as sort of like, hey, let's not panic, right? We need to support each other, and just to see each other, and not to say I haven't seen you since even to see your hair grow, and to see what the changes how tall the kids are getting, like online, that you could sort of substitute that. So I think that's still vital. And I think, with the boundaries in a classroom and making sure that you're keeping everyone safe virtually, you don't have to worry as much about those. You have to worry about what you say, but when you get back in the classroom, you have more of that. You have more of that kinesthetic feel. But again, your circle becomes your local improvisers. Now I'm going to be playing with guys that weren't involved in this online world that we've explored, and I've learned so much. And I feel like, wow, I have a lot to share, or B, I have so much to show you. There's so many more choices we could make now, and so I feel. Not that I've outgrown people who haven't been involved in the online experience, but I feel like I've grown.
Nice. And actually, that's a lovely place to start to wrap up, because Keith, that idea of sharing, over the last 3 days at the conference, there's been lots of sharing of both I suppose more philosophical insights and learnings, but also practical examples. And I would love you each, in 30 seconds each, to give us your favorite online improv exercise for teams. So let us know what that is. And then if people want to learn more about it, they can always come and find you afterwards. Okay. So, Jody, what would yours be?
I did one recently where I had the whiteboard opened, and there was a group of 4 people, and they were given a job. So let's say they were all working for a train company, making miniature trains, and they were coming up with a proposal for their boss. They were a team, and yet they don't know what they're talking about, and they all had to sort of choose some sort of a motto as a character, some sort of something. And so they were basically just randomly drawing things on this board and creating characters as they went along, and say, well, I think the infractor should really go with John Smith, because he's been doing the infractors for a long time, and just coming up with these words and vocabulary. And it was fascinating. And then we shared it with each other and shared the whiteboard and what the plan and the strategy was that they created. And it was a lot of fun.
Lovely. Great melding of improv and tech there. Thank you. Noha.
I really like this exercise that helps the group connect in a very simple way. It helps us play around with the virtual room, and it helps include different people if you don't want to speak in a large group or write in the chat. So it's called Turn Your Camera On If. So everybody turns their cameras off. One person is on camera and shares something. It could be something they enjoy doing, or something about their culture, like where I'm from, we do blah, blah, blah. And whoever agrees or has the same hobby or cultural reference will turn their camera on. So you see everyone on screen who shares this, and then next person turns their camera on, everybody off, and you do the same thing. And it's really a very simple way to help people connect. It changes the feeling in the room, and it's also a simple exercise for the team to do by themselves. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I just wrote that down.
And
I just wrote that down. Okay,
yeah,
so quickly.
great. See, spirit of sharing.
All right, so quickly, my favorite game to play with teens is the world's greatest post-pandemic party. The world's greatest post-pandemic party. So what we do is everybody gets to plan a party. There is no restriction. All budgets are approved, and you can have anybody you want, any group, anybody, dead or alive. And so you just can't undo anything anyone has done. So if it's all of a sudden the party is on at the White House or on the moon, then it's on the moon. And then if the Beatles are there, great. The Beatles are there. Bobby Flay is cooking, or and then what happens is it starts to get more philanthropic. Okay, I'm going to buy houses for everyone. All the homeless will have homes, and then it becomes great. But you kind of number everybody, and then make sure everybody gets at least one, and people want to jump in and what more they want to add to this party. So that was a collaborative game. It's sort of conductive, and everyone gets to play. So
love it.
Oh, that sounds fantastic, and something that I'm sure we can all hope for as well. Thank you so much, all of you. I have to say that my favourite game is just virtual gift giving, and I would like to thank you all for the gift of your time this evening and sharing your insights. And I think we've had a really wide-ranging conversation. I wish we could have it for a whole half day and explore lots of different things, but we can't, sadly. Thank you to our deaf interpreter, Philip. It's wonderful to watch you at work, and thank you for your support. Thank you to our tech team, Kathy and Hayley, and also, of course, to Shannon and the whole of the team for the creative approach. It's been lovely to be involved. Thank you.